Hi, my name is Tinia Pina, and I'm so grateful to be here with you at New York Sunworks annual youth conference. It's so incredibly important today that you consider, putting time, energy, and thoughts and your brilliant know-how to create innovation on what really is a time of immense need for your brains and your skills. We are at a time where we're experiencing severe food shortages, food crisis, and resources needed to have resilient, consistent food production. And I'm really excited to share with you how Re-Nuble's approach can help continue supporting a very thriving U.S. food production. And so you being a part of that and listening to that, I really hope that I inspire you to consider being involved, taking all the insights and the skill sets that you've learned so incredibly closely with the New York Sunworks team this year and really putting that into action, whether it's after this school year, at home, growing herbs and greens and tomatoes of your own, or in the future, perhaps joining the industry for what is known as indoor agriculture, also as controlled environment agriculture. So at Re-Nuble, I'm the founder and CEO of Re-Nuble. And hi, my name is Tinia Pina. If I haven't introduced myself already, we basically take unrecoverable vegetative waste from food production and food distribution, and we turn it into a platform of sustainable technologies for indoor growing. And the reason why that's so important is because in 2012, when I first got inspired to do what we're doing at Re-Nuble, New York City was spending $77 million to ship our food waste, because we don't have the scale of composting in our city. We were shipping it to Pennsylvania, China, and even Virginia at the time. We now spend roughly a little less than $186 million. So that's the food waste coming from our kitchen scraps, and that's the food waste coming from, our local favorite restaurant. And so if you can imagine, a lot of the food waste, whether it's from our own kitchens, restaurants, as well as Hunts Point, which is in South Bronx, this food waste is creating a lot of emissions and greenhouse gases to ship it to outside of New York City, because we don't have the infrastructure to manage it. And what works really well, taking food waste and turning it into compost for our soil to be able to grow regenerative agriculture methods, using regenerative agriculture methods, or because the soil has a very diverse ecosystem of microbes that know how to break down the nutrients into food that the plant can recognize and eat. But in a soilless or hydroponic system, such as you see here, that's unfortunately not the case. These systems have a need for sterility. They have a need to be clean so that they can be able to provide nutrients in a way that isn't going to cause things that you learned in class, your pH to go too high, your water quality to have, algae buildup or biofilm buildup. So it's incredibly hard to make food waste compatible to grow food in an indoor hydroponic or soilless system in a similar way as you would see in an outdoor farm or field farm shown here in this picture. But in globally, and I apologize for this picture, livestock and in the larger global agriculture industry produces 30% of our greenhouse gas emissions. That's a significant amount. Now, in terms of the livestock, so breeding and raising cows and chickens, things that are often meat options on our kitchen dinner tables, that creates 14.5 greenhouse gas emissions. And what we use as fertilizer in a hydroponic or soilless system contributes 3% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. So it's incredibly important that we try to find ways to use alternatives to mineral salts, because the supply chain, the way that, the salts that you may have seen in your classrooms or just may have seen elsewhere, and most of us buy mineral salts because that's what's often available at our nearby store. to feed our plants as their source of food. But the way that they're produced requires a tremendous amount of energy and burning of fossil fuels in places as far as the Middle East, as far as Russia and China, to be able to support our food production today. And so, as you can imagine, the mineral salts that you see here, or the small packets of salts that come with your favorite bouquet of flowers that someone dear to you may have given, they create a tremendous amount of greenhouse gases. But like I said, remember the soil, the field farms, they use things, fertilizers, or what is called amendments, right? They use these fertilizers from bat guano, which is bat poop or feces, as from animals that you see here. Or they use chicken litter, right? They've been pelletized granules, basically sediment from the waste streams of raising chickens to serve as a great fertilizer for soil. And it's incredibly hard for soilless or hydroponic systems to use. Similarly, using fish waste, a great fertilizer for soil because it can be used with your diluted in water or mixed with your water. And the soil microbes know how to really take fish fertilizer, which are just the waste streams from fish, and turn it into a source of plant food that really enriches the soil. So this is an example of those types of organic fertilizers that tend to be used phenomenally well in soil. And so they support the early seedling needs, the germination, all the way from when you may have sprouted your first seed in your classroom with New York Sunworks to your final harvest, cutting that head of lettuce or taking off some strawberries that you may have grown. Those sources of fertilizers that I just mentioned serve all the main macronutrient needs of a farm or your garden at home or in your classroom. They provide a source of your basic nutrients, such as nitrogen, which provides that early sprout vegetative growth. It also provides phosphorus, which provides your blooming, the flowering that you need when you start getting into, after the sprouting, your fruiting stage or your flowering stage. And you would have seen that with your peppers, your strawberries, your tomatoes. It also provides potassium, and potassium is a great way to add more flavor. It's a great way to incorporate minerals and micronutrients because it can ensure that they're uptaken by the plant more easily. So all of these serve a really unique role in how we grow food. And so how we at Re-Nuble take the food waste and make those three macronutrients and minerals and micronutrients plant available, or what they call soluble, is incredibly hard because it's balancing, taking different food waste type that you all are familiar with, a banana peel, leafy lettuce remains, carrot cuttings, and making it so that once you introduce it into a hydroponic system that you may have worked with, it doesn't create poor water quality like biofilm, and it doesn't really change your pH as much. So this is an example of a farm using our nutrients in Rockwool, and you may be familiar here. It's an older picture, but basically, our goal is to essentially take food waste and make it so that in areas beyond New York City, we can take our waste streams, treat them in such a way that is food safe, and it can be consistent with our alternatives, such as mineral salts that aren't as good for the environment to produce, and allow more people like you, as well as our commercial farms that are working hard every day to ensure that we have food at our grocery stores and on our table to be able to nourish us. It's really important that you consider, and you consider, being a part of this movement to help our farms and help give society more options than just mineral salts, and to use our waste streams in more innovative ways. Re-Nuble focuses on food waste, but there's really interesting innovations happening with fabric waste or textile waste, or even wastewater coming from, vineyards. So if I didn't do a good job inspiring you, then I hope New York Sunworks did an amazing job, and I know they have, in really giving you practical skills that the industry can use from kids like yourself to help us make sure that we have enough food supply and a resilient supply chain just to be able to grow our food reliably. So thank you so much for everything that you've done to date. New York Sunworks has done an incredible job making sure that you are inspired to potentially become an indoor grower or part of this industry in the future. We do need people like you. And so hopefully we will see you more in the future. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.